Hi, people of the Philippines and people of the world. Hit the button below. And you will be subscribing to the Boy Abunda Talk channel on YouTube. Let's keep talking. I want to work with you, Kat, on some of the questions, random questions, which are asked in Miss USA, Miss Universe. Let's start with questions from very influential people from the LGBTQIA community. Here's one from Jiggly Caliente. You know Jiggly. The Philippines is fairly new in the fight for equality among the LGBTQIA plus community. What suggestions do you have for our country in the fight for equality?
Oftentimes, people think equality is replacing certain communities. But the reality of it is equality is about creating more room for people, creating more voices for people to be represented, to be a part of a conversation. So we have to stop the mentality of thinking that equality means that we're going to replace people. Equality means getting everyone on board, making sure everyone is represented, has a voice, and have the space for them to thrive.
Be very careful, Kat. When you make a pause in the middle of an answer, people think that you lost it. You know, another technique that you can use is you listen to yourself and you build your answer on the words that you say. You know, when you talk about equality, I'm not talking about replacing you. It is about joining you. It's about connecting with you. I include you in my life and you include me in yours. Thank you. Here are questions from Mela Habihan. You know Mela? You've met Mela?
Mela, I love her so much.
Here's a question. Though now American, having been born and spending your early years in the Philippines, you are still Filipino at heart. If trans inclusion wasn't an issue in Philippine pageantry, who would you like to be at the Miss Universe stage? Miss USA or Miss Philippines, and why?
You know, for me, it doesn't really matter which country you present. I am proud to be Filipino and I am proud to be American. I think the focus on beauty pageants is presenting who you are, showing who you are, showcasing what you can do, what you advocate for. So regardless of the country that you stand for, you're always going to stand for who you are and the community that you represent.
These are times, Kat, when you can be a little funny. When you say, why can't I have both? USA and the Philippines. That's me. Next
Why
question, Mela.
Yeah.
As the first transgender woman to compete at the Miss USA stage, how would you convince transgender Filipinas who don't agree with the inclusion of trans women in pageants traditionally for cisgender women that you deserve this space?
Ang hirap ng questions ni Mela, ha? We talk about the essence of a woman, you know, to be able to give birth. For me, as a trans woman, I know myself, many people who can't produce and give birth. And to compete in pageantry as a trans woman is not just representation, but also expansion to what it means to be a woman. Women are more than just being able to provide or to give life. Women can be leaders, inspirational people, activists, powerful people, and everything that you want to be.
God, that's a wonderful answer. All you have to do is to end it with, so my message to all of you who don't believe we should be joining cisgender pageants, just open your hearts. I shall be patient. We shall be patient because our time will come. Mela's another one. If you were to be born again, would you still want to be a transgender woman? Yes, no, why?
Yes, because as a trans woman, I realized that being trans is a treasure. It is a gift that was bestowed upon me by the gods. And I'm able to realize and see things differently. And that is a blessing that I received and I always cherish. So I would always choose to be trans.
We have some questions from G3 San Diego. Do you think trans women are stereotyped into joining beauty pageants?
No, not at all. I think the beautiful thing about pageantry is that you get to celebrate who you are, and that's the epitome of what it means to be trans. So you're not necessarily expected to compete, but it's just part of celebration. And trans people are more than just beautiful people. A lot of us are inspirational, hardworking, and everything that we want to be. It's never just limited about beauty.
That's good.
Thank you.
How do you feel, still from G3, how do you feel about trans women being fetishized?
This is a huge issue for me because I am a victim and a survivor of physical and sexual abuse. So I experienced being fetishized and objectified so many times, but this also relates to the story of many cis women as well. So we need to fight together as cis people and trans people to end objectifying and sexualizing women in general.
Love it. Do you think trans women have a hard time finding true love? Why or why not?
Yes and no. It's hard to find a relationship sometimes, but true love isn't limited to just another partner. True love can also mean true love for yourself. And as trans people, that's what we embrace and what we put out there in the world. Self-love.
Maganda yun, Kat. We say self-love, but don't go down. Say self-love. Thank you. You know, it's an art. It's really an art. You're getting there. Let's do some questions from Miss USA and Miss Universe in the last years. Here's one question. For the past 2 years, the Me Too and Time's Up the movements have dominated our national conversation. I think this is in 2019. However, some believe it has only deepened the divide between men and women. Have these movements gone too far, in your opinion?
I don't believe so. I think movements and protests are important. It is part of our culture. It's part of our history. Trans rights and LGBTQ plus rights started from riots against police brutality and inequality. And without standing up and without speaking up for your voice and for your community, we wouldn't have the same rights that we have now. So I think it's important that we always use the time and our voices to speak for what we stand for. It has nothing to do with division. It has everything to do with equality and inclusion.
You may also, Kat, add one line just to sum it up. So to your question, no, these movements are never too much. Thank you. Here's another one. This was asked of Chiana Brown of Oklahoma in 2019. Voting is an American right, yet only 2 states currently allow their prison populations to vote. Do you believe that the incarcerated should be allowed to participate in our elections?
To an extent, I believe people in the prison, people who are incarcerated, should have the right to vote as well. Voting is a basic human right, and I think everybody should be given that chance. Not everyone in the prison system has committed a crime that we believe or how we understood. So we have to be open-minded and allow everyone as people to vote.
In situations, Kat, where you're not sure as to where you're going to go, the shorter the answer, the better. Just punctuate it with something that's strong. Human rights is very strong. That I think people inside jail are people. They're human beings. And if voting, if suffrage is a universal human right, then I think they deserve to vote because they are human beings. Thank you. Here's the question for, in 2019, also Savannah Skidmore, Arkansas. America is one of the most racially diverse countries in the world, yet it is also one of the most racially divided. Why do you think this is?
Again, I think this will have to be with the mentality that diversity, representation, and inclusion or inclusivity means to replace people. In reality, it's not the truth.
Kat, in situations like this one, don't be afraid to say, I'm not quite sure, but I'll take a guess. Here's another question, Kat. Millennials are often labeled as entitled, but they've also been called one of the most socially conscious generations in decades. What is one word you would use to describe your generation and why?
My generation is impactful.
If you were the leader of your country, how would you have handled the COVID-19 pandemic?
I would prioritize my people, prioritize making sure that everyone is able to thrive in such a uncertainty, that everyone gets an equal chance to survive, to be able to take care of themselves, to be able to have food and shelter, and also listen to science.
That's the best answer. Listen to science, as Fauci would say. Let's go to the question for Miss India, 2020 Miss Universe. Should countries lock down due to COVID-19, despite the strain on their economies? Or should they open their borders and risk a potential increase in infection rates? How would you answer that?
I think countries are unique and strong in so many ways, regardless of which country we're talking about. And they have resources that they can use to provide for their people. So I would impose a lockdown to protect its people, to protect its culture, and to protect its society.
Brazil was asked, women are still considered incapable of becoming world leaders. Convince these countries that they're wrong.
We don't have to convince people that we are leaders, especially women. We're able to provide, we're able to give, we're able to be ourselves and still be successful in life and lead the way that we want to.
When is Miss USA? That's November,
Miss
right?
USA, November 29.
And then Miss U, I think, is December.
The same week. So,
Same
pag
week.
nanalo kang Miss USA, diretso ka sa Israel.
Kumusta ang laban natin?
I think we have a great chance. I think it's about time that we have a full-blooded immigrant, or to me, a full-blooded Filipina and a trans woman to represent for the 70th edition of Miss USA.
How is the support of the community?
The LGBTQ plus community, very supportive. Filipino are still somewhat divided, and I think it's just about time that we educate what it means to be trans.
What is the most difficult question that is often asked of you? And what is a question that really bothers you?
I think when people ask me and question my womanhood, I think that's the hardest question that I always get.
Okay.
Because for me, I always know by heart who I am and that I've lived my life as a woman, but people will always throw science and biology.
Yeah, and who can better identify you or me than ourselves?
Right.
Now that you're in pageantry, baka naman napapabayaan mong negosyo mo.
No, it's actually a good, it's a good balance because I wear the gowns that I wear. The gowns that I've worn in all the competitions are all made by me. I'm going to be doing almost the same for Miss USA. I am collaborating with one designer for my final gown, but everything has always intentions and a story, and it's going to be impactful.
Are you single, Kat?
Yes, I am.
Is that
It's hard dating.
you are dating? You are dating, but
yeah, but it's hard. I'm just saying, like, as trans women, it's hard to date. But for me, I really want to focus on career. I love career and I love to explore and learn and develop and see who I am as a person.
Have you ever fallen in love, Kat?
I have. My first relationship, I really loved the person, but I've learned a lot from that. It was also very toxic, but I learned.
Does it occur in your mind that you want to be very, very rich?
I want to be rich in life, not rich of money, but rich in life, where I want to experience so many things. Because I grew up constantly limiting myself, constantly silencing myself, because I didn't want people to bully me. I didn't want people to harass me. So for a long time, I lived a life living in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
But now I get to be more than that. And now is my time to really, spread my light and show people who I am.
What do you miss the most in the Philippines?
The street food, my God.
Katulad ng
What's the thing called?
isaw?
Isa? Yes.
Let's do some last questions. You're at the entrance of heaven and God is there. And he says, my daughter, why should I let you in? What would you tell God?
You should let me in because I am your child and I'm deserving. And I have gifted my life for my community the same way how you have gifted yours.
If you could change one thing in this lifetime, what would this be and why?
Change the idea that we have to be a certain thing. Change the idea that we have to meet expectations. We can be more than society's limitations.
This is my last question. Complete the statement. I am Kataluna Enriquez and
I am Miss USA 2021.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tito Boy, for this. I
We will
really
be part of your journey. Thank you very much for being part of the interviewer. Thank you very much for being part of the Boy Abunda Talk channel. And I will see you in New York.
Yes, I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Stay true to your story. Stay true to your truth. Stay true to your core.
Mhm.
You'll win any crown. Thank you, Kat. Maraming
Thank you.
maraming salamat.
Thank you. Salamat.
Hi, people of the Philippines and people of the world. Hit the button below. And you will be subscribing to the Boy Abunda Talk channel on YouTube. Let's keep talking.